Soils. The Falkland Islands has a rather complex geological history, from being the site of violent volcanic activity in the Precambrian to a cooler glacial environment in the Carboniferous. Remnants of the archipelago's geological history are mainly hidden underneath the youngest deposit called peat and loose unconsolidated soils, for which the South Atlantic Environmental Research Institute has been researching for the past 2 years.
So that's a 2-year project funded by the Down Initiative through the UK government. So what we want to achieve, or what we've pretty much achieved because we're coming to the end of it, is creating a national soil map for the Falklands. But we also want to create a baseline for peat extent, carbon stock and erosion extent here in the Falklands. But we also want to create some tools for land manager here to improve land management in a sustainable way. So the soil is very acidic here, mainly because the geological parent material here doesn't contain any carbonates, so there's nothing here to offset the acidity in the soil. Through rainfall, it becomes accreased. We've got high organic matter. Through the organic matter decomposition, we get more humic acids released into the soil, so it is very, very acidic, and there's not much we can do about it. We don't have much here to actually compensate for that, with the exception of calcified seaweeds, which is quite an interesting occurrence here in the Falklands, actually.
Calcified seaweeds, known as merles, are tiny marine red algae, which contains the alkaline calcium carbonate. There are an estimated 5 major occurrences of calcified seaweed beaches on the shores from Port Edgar in the west to the Canash in Stanley.
So you tend to find them on sort of westerly facing shores and quite shallow shores where there are where there are reefs around and wave cut platforms that go off into the shallow subtidal. And it's the storm action that throws them up onto beaches, and then they dry out. And some have been there for millennia, well, maybe not millennia, but a few hundred years. And you can find them all over the Falkland Islands, even in peat cores. You can find them from old beaches, and I'm sure during the last ice age, the sea level would have been 120 metres lower. You would find them in sediments at 120 metres around the islands and shallower as well.
The merles, when crushed into a fine powder, can be applied for agricultural liming to raise the soil's pH and therefore neutralising the acidity in the Falklands. As an easy identifier, the seaweeds react very strongly to hydrochloric acid.
We've got problems here, or potentially problems, with aluminium toxicity. If the pH in the soil is low, a lot more aluminium is available in soluble solution. And there's also other nutrients which are not necessarily available in the soil when the pH is low. What it then does, it increases the pH, you've got less aluminium available, and you've got more of the other nutrients available. And it also adds some nutrients itself through calcium, magnesium, which is present in the calcium carbonate. So it increases the nutrient state of the soil as well.
Nevertheless, we could be seeing these calcified seaweeds being sprayed on the soils in the Falklands.